I was Hanny Usher, Rico from StreetScores. This is somewhat of a Rico report, kind of, because we're going to bounce around quite a bit, even though it's kind of split in like to two major halves of the video. The first half, which is really going to be like, I'm assuming time-wise, maybe like the first 2/5 of the video. And then we got to dive into all of this architect stuff going on with RFK 2.0. We're going to dive into what other stadiums that exact architect is designed and what this may look like. I'm going to show y'all some pictures for references and everything, man. And then the second half of the video that's going to actually take up the majority of the time is going to be a major Commanders update. Like, we signed an edge rusher that I want to dive into. We also have another edge rusher that we signed weeks ago finally practicing. We have a few players coming back from injuries. We have a few people that you probably wouldn't expect that actually went to Madrid and are participating in practice, even if they don't play in the game versus the Dolphins. I have a bunch of injury updates for y'all, a bunch of random roster updates. And at the end of the video, I have some other just random Commanders updates to kind of make it feel more like a Rico report anyway. But before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinion video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Shouts out to my watch to the end gang, man. WTTEG in the building, man. Shouts out to Noti gang that's on these videos immediately. I'm recording this is 4:12 a.m. So of course, shout out to the late night crew putting in the vampire hours, man. Now, without further ado, let's go and dive into the video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. Alright, so instead of trying to clickbait y'all or anything like that, of course, I feel like most people probably pulled up to talk about or listen to me talk about and break down and show y'all what's going on with this whole stadium situation. It's official. The Washington Commanders themselves even announced it exactly at 10 a.m. yesterday, Thursday, November 13th, that we've selected HKS Architects, a global architecture and design firm, as the lead architect for our new stadium at the RFK site. And with it, they have this picture that you're looking at right now. And this feels like the right choice. Honestly, it feels like the obvious choice because they've done a lot of the more modern, recent stadiums that you see around the NFL right now. And even they tweeted it themselves too. They were excited to announce to everybody, hey, we are working with the Commanders with their new stadium. Their direct Twitter account, again, HKS Architects, hailed to the Commanders in DC's next iconic destination. A new stadium that would deliver the loudest, most dynamic home field advantage in the NFL. That has me excited now. It sounds like scientifically, mathematically, they're going to do what they can to make it to where we have one of the, if not the very loudest home environment in the NFL. They're going to try to figure out the acoustics, the angles, all of that type of architecture stuff. I love the fact that that's one of their goals with this stadium, to make it as loud as possible so we can truly have a real home atmosphere. I highly doubt they're gonna bring back the whole RFK situation where the seats move apparently or something like that. I keep hearing a lot of people talk about that. Again, I was too young to ever go to an RFK game. I was never alive for any of the Super Bowls that we won. But I've heard from a lot of people talking about it. Apparently, the chairs used to move and stuff like that. A lot of people wanted that in the new stadium. Highly doubt it. Sounds like a safety hazard. But at the very least, there's other ways that we could go around as far as like making the opposing team feel threatened and feel intimidated. You know what I'm saying? And even though I feel like, yes, moving chairs has to have an insane intimidation factor to it. But hey, man, the loudest stadium in the NFL could also be very useful as well. Now, to dive into HKS, they are an interdisciplinary global design firm. Our team of 1,700 architects, designers, planners, and advisors across 29 offices partner with clients to design and develop elegant solutions to complex challenges. So again, they're attacking big things like stadiums. They don't only do stadiums, but they definitely specialize in stadiums. From iconic gathering places to healing environments, our designs enhance experiences and elevate outcomes for all stakeholders. Our work is inspired by curiosity, driven by research and technology, and informed by a deep understanding of human and environmental needs. We're proud to be a carbon neutral firm since 2023. Oh, I love to hear that. I'm huge on nature, so I'm happy to hear that. Of course, the reason that y'all care is that HKS designed the SoFi Stadium in LA and the US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, both two very new stadiums that look amazing, bro. I'm hoping we like outmatch those guys. I hope our stadium's even better than those two. But those are two really great places to start. And if your stadium is anywhere near of the same quality as those stadiums, you're doing something right, man. So the Commanders announced they're hiring the architectural firm behind SoFi Stadium and also Jerry World as well, just to let you know. And they're planning on a roofed stadium for RFK. I don't know if it's going to be retractable like my Mercedes-Benz Stadium right here down in Atlanta, but at the very least it's going to be roofed. I don't know if it's going to be permanent or something that it can be roofed when the weather's horrible, when it's rainy, when it's hot, when it's cold, or you can open it up when the weather's perfect. But either way, I'm just happy there's going to be a roof. I'll take a roof over no roof. Retractable is a perfect middle, but I prefer a roof over no roof, man, for real. And to dive even deeper into it, today, the Washington Commanders announced their selection of HKS, well, yesterday, a global architecture and design firm, as the lead architect for the team's new state-of-the-art stadium, anchored by the stadium and the franchise's historical $2.7 billion private investment in Washington, D.C., with 100 acres at the historic RFK site that will be transformed into a vibrant year-round destination for sports, entertainment, housing, parks, recreation, and neighborhood amenities. HKS brings unmatched expertise in designing iconic sports and entertainment destinations. The firm's NFL venues, including SoFi in Inglewood, California, US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, and AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, have redefined sports venue design through architecture that elevates the fan experience and sets new benchmarks for innovation and sponsorship integration. I mean, at a certain point, bro, they're probably going to have a monopoly over what they're doing. And then speaking of those other stadiums, here's a look at some of those stadiums. So, you know, the top two pictures left and middle top are Los Angeles, the Rams and the Chargers Stadium. And then top right, Cowboys Stadium. And then all at the bottom is the Vikings Stadium. And you see the inside on the right side. You see the outside from different angles on the left bottom. And I mean, either way, it all looks good, man. And Mark Klaus, who's one of the presidents of the Washington Commanders, said, "Selecting HKS as the lead architect marks a major step forward in our journey to bring the Washington Commanders home to the district. HKS has a proven track record of delivering world-class stadiums that balance design, functionality, and community impact. We need all three of those, man, especially with RFK being so close to where people live, bro. This partnership underscores our shared vision to create a stadium that enhances the fan experience, strengthens our connection with the community, and sets a new standard for the future of sports and entertainment, delivering an exceptional experience that will serve our team, our fans, and the district for decades to come." And to dive even further, HKS designs each venue as a one-of-a-kind reflection of a city shaped by the culture, climate, and character of the people and community it represents. So, if you're worried about our stadium looking too much like the Rams, Cowboys, or the Vikings, you should be happy to know that it's going to reflect the area. It's probably going to be somewhat indicative of the fact, or, you know, reflective of like, you know, all of the government stuff, you know, it's DC and all of that type of stuff, or the fact that it's close to water, you know what I'm saying? They're going to do something to where it's relevant to the area that it's in. I mean, you should already not have to worry about the fact that it's not going to look like another stadium, just off of the fact that their previous stadiums, the Rams Stadium, Vikings Stadium, and the Cowboys Stadiums, all look different. You already know that. But then the fact that they even went out and like let you know, hey, we purposely do it to where our stadium reflects the city that the stadium is in. I really love that. The stadium will be designed with football at its core, delivering the loudest, most dynamic home field advantage in the NFL. That sounds like a goal. I hope it's a promise. The stadium is also envisioned as a civic landmark for Washington, D.C., with monumental architecture and vibrant public spaces that come alive on game days and throughout the year. Again, mind you, if you haven't been keeping up with this whole stadium stuff, they want to turn this into like a mini city. You know, if you've ever been to Atlanta, the Battery over there in Cobb County or whatever, where the Braves play, it's like a mini city around the Braves stadium. Like, I go there all the time, and I've never been to a Braves game because they just have so many restaurants, stores, places to walk around. They want it to be like that, but it sounds like they're even more ambitious than what the Battery is here, or like somewhat like what Atlantic Station is down here in Atlanta as well. Either way, though, with monumental, together the stadium and the new surrounding district will reconnect the city to the Anacostia River, catalyze investment of the city's east side, and create a destination for residents and visitors to thrive beyond just game day. Which goes back to my point, like they want this to be something that can be utilized 365 days a year, not only during the football season. Movie theaters, restaurants, all of that type of stuff. Again, if you're from Atlanta, if you're in Atlanta, the Battery is like a great example of that, or somewhat of like Atlantic Station. The approximately 65,000 2,000-seat roofed stadium will host more than 200 activations every year, including global sporting events, concerts, community festivals, and major national celebrations. The sustainability, advanced technology, and enhanced fan experience and amplified sponsorship integration will be at the forefront of the stadium design. I'm excited about all of that. The stadium creates opportunities for a developmental on-site with plans to deliver 5,000 to 6,000 new homes around there, including 1,500 to 1,900 affordable units, preserve the beloved fields at RFK, introduce new youth sports facilities, create opportunities for hotel and retail development, and dedicate at least 30% of the site to enhanced green spaces. I love the way a lot of that sounds. This agreement represents a pivotal milestone for both the team and the district, advancing a comprehensive vision for the site that expands riverfront access and invests in Washington, D.C.'s future. Now, the next phase of the project includes mapping out the concept and schematic design principles with HKS and hosting a series of community engagement meetings in coordination with the District of Columbia to receive feedback from local leaders and community members, with upcoming meetings scheduled for November and December. Vertical construction on the stadium is expected to commence in spring of 2027, and the full completion is scheduled for 2030. But the main thing I take from that, the whole outline and timeline of when they plan the roadmap for everything that they're doing, that's cool having dates. The most important thing is that apparently they're going to start mapping things out very soon, and they want feedback from the community themselves. How do we want this design? Of course, like Josh Harris and all of those guys are going to have the biggest say. Of course they will. Why shouldn't they? But it sounds like the community is going to be somewhat involved with some feedback. They'll probably do some surveys. So if you're one of those lucky people that gets hit up about this, hey, be honest, bro, and get creative. But of course, that has me excited because now I'm like, bro, where are the renderings? I want at least some random examples. I don't want some random AI generated stuff that somebody just randomly put together. I want HKS architects to put out just a concept. It could be a super raw concept and I'd still be super excited. So as soon as they release anything, it could be anything. Of course, I will have y'all covered in my video whenever that happens. But before we move on to the rest of this video, breaking down all of the team stuff, see, this is the business side. Now, the rest of the video is all of the football side, and there's a lot of different things, so buckle up. It's going to feel a lot like a Rico report where we're kind of bouncing around from topic to topic. But before we get there, shouts out to Sleeper, man. Of course, with them, you have a chance to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Washington football, man, I'm telling y'all, we're going to bounce back with a vengeance next year. And still, man, cherish football right now. I know it's ugly. I know it's frustrating. I know it's annoying. I know it's all of that. But you're going to miss football while it's gone, man. Every year, once we get to like February, we get to like April, May, June, we're just like, man, I would do anything for any football. Remember how you felt in those times. And even though it's ugly, it's live burgundy and gold football. It's ugly live burgundy and gold football, but it is still burgundy and gold football, man. So just hold it down. I'm going to be live streaming every game that I can. If it's a Sunday game, I'm at home, I'm available, I will be live streaming again. My whole thing is I'm looking forward to all of the younger talent that's going to play and who's going to be here 2026 and beyond that's going to help us win the Super Bowl. But speaking of all of the young guys, man, you have guys like when Traylon Burks gets back healthy, that would be nice, but Jalen Lane is still available. Bill can still run the ball. I'll have a Chris Rodriguez update for y'all at some point later on in this video. You could pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns. I mean, even Mariota, passing yards. We can do receiving yards for Jalen Lane, fantasy points, and more for up to, again, 1,000 times your payout on Sleeper. And right now, new users can even get a free $20 without a deposit like you see on the screen right now. On top of the already 100% match up to $100 you get on your first deposit, you could just use simply promo code SCORE, that's SCORE, or you can click the link at the top of the description of this video and every video on live stream I'm doing all season. So lock in with Sleeper. And before we go, man, of course, I like to dive into some picks that we can get into just to have a little fun. So I'm already looking, I went to the NFL popular duos. What's the one that's the highest risk that also has the highest reward, the highest payout? So I was looking at this one. If Christian McCaffrey can get us 52 receiving yards, which is actually very possible, he's done that a lot. Like, again, you're looking back, going back to October 2nd, you have 82, 57, 72. Then he had one game against the Texans where he only had 43. Then he came right back with 67, then in 66, bro. I think against the Arizona Cardinals, he can go out there and get you 52 receiving yards. And then Jackson Smith-Njigba, all he needs is a touchdown, and you're good to go. And out of the last 6 games, he's had a touchdown in 4 of those games. Amazingly enough, he did not have a touchdown against us. I think he can get one against the Los Angeles Rams this upcoming weekend. So all you need is for these two things to happen. You can turn 5 into 18, 10 into 36, 20 into 72, or if you really want to go all in, you can turn 100 into 360. And again, all you need is these two things to happen, which happen more times than not. And again, shouts out to Sleeper, because with them you can 1,000 times your cash, again with Sleeper. Now let's get back to this video. Let's talk football now. All right, first up, the Commanders signed a new defensive lineman. Now, granted, this was a couple of days ago. This was back on November 11th, but I mean, I was working on the mock draft. I've been busy. You can see from my outfit, I've not even been home a lot. So either way, the Commanders added veteran defensive end DeMarcus Walker to their practice squad, and Tom Shad said that he can confirm that he even traveled with the team to Spain, and even his agency, Vanguard Sports Group, were proud to announce it. They tweeted it saying, "We're proud to represent DeMarcus Walker as he begins his next chapter with the Washington Commanders. Welcome to the VSG family." So these people, he just signed to this agency and then just signed to the Commanders at the same time. So new agency, new team. Also, another new thing, new number. He will be wearing number 50, last worn by Andre Jones, if you care about that sort of thing. You know, I try to give y'all as much information, no matter how small or insignificant some people may find things. He's wearing number 50, last worn by Andre Jones. He is a former 2017 second round pick by Denver, and he could be elevated versus Miami this upcoming Sunday. And of course, we will be live streaming that as all 4 Commanders Kings on the Commanders Kings channel early 9 a.m. Sunday morning, so make sure you pull up for that. But he has 26.5 career sacks. He was released in February by Chicago. He was not on the team. And let's go all the way back. He played for Florida State from 2013 to 2016. Then in 2017, again, he was a second round pick by the Denver Broncos. 51st overall, bro. And he was with the Denver Broncos till 2020. Then he was with the Texans in 2021. Then the Titans in 2022. Then he was with the Bears after coming off his best season in his career with the Titans in 2022. He was with the Bears for 2 years. And if you type his name on Twitter, there were a lot of Bears fans going into that 2023 season feeling like he was about to go crazy. They felt like they got themselves a free agency steal. And he ended up being with the Bears for 2 years, 2023 and 2024. And now again, he ended up getting cut in February. Now he's officially with us as of mid-November, just a couple of days ago. And even beyond that, though, I mean, he's 6'4", 280 pounds. Again, his best season was 2022 when he had 7 sacks. And shouts out to Matt Bourne for pointing out the fact that he's an interior pass rush productive type of guy. His play strength shows on tape. He's vertical, pushing off the ball. He does a lot of twists and stunts. He excels in that, and he's a great one-gap defender. He's the type of guy that you don't necessarily want him going against double teams, but if you give him a gap, he can explode through it and get to the quarterback or the ball carrier in the backfield. He's a pretty disruptive guy. Walker had 3.5 sacks, 7 tackles for losses, and 39 pressures while being one of the most double-team defensive linemen in 2024. We're talking about just last season. He was still effective and required double teams, or at least teams just decided to double team him for whatever reason. I feel like if they kept doing it, they felt like they had to. So maybe there's something here. I mean, even just going back to March 13th of 2023, a Bears account tweeted, "Most of DeMarcus Walker's production for Tennessee came from inside the tackles, where his quickness is a mismatch for guards. That's where I expect him to play for the Bears. Not flashy, but a solid rotational 3 technique." So with Payne and Javon Kinlaw out there, even though Payne is suspended, he would not play against the Dolphins. This is a guy that you can rotate in. And honestly, based off of what he's done so far in his career, compared to what other defensive tackles we have on this team right now, including Johnny Newton, I mean, maybe he will be behind Eddie Goldman on the depth chart, but I think he'll probably, if we're talking about production, if we're talking about what I'm expecting him to do any given game for the rest of the season, I think he's probably your 4th best defensive tackle. Sadly, Johnny Newton, another second round pick, a younger second round pick that I had high hopes for. He's flashed occasionally, but right now, with DeMarcus added to the team, Johnny Newton's your 5th best defensive tackle, to be completely honest with you. Eddie Goldman's probably 3rd, but that's 2 different styles. Eddie Goldman's a double team eater, a pure nose tackle, while DeMarcus is like an undersized defensive tackle in a way, sort of like an edge rusher, tweener, hybrid type of guy, where he can get past guards with his quickness, or he can also maybe potentially outmuscle some tackles. You know, it just depends on the matchup for him. Now, moving on from that, I also have a major injury update, a huge one. We have a few of them, but starting with safety Will Harris. Will Harris had his 21-day practice window open back on November 12th. That was Wednesday, 2 days ago, bro. And that is huge news, man. This defense has not been the same since we lost our starting safety. And from what I've seen from when he was healthy, and then what we've been missing since he's been injured and gone, he's the best safety on this team, including Darnell Savage. We have not been able to cover tight ends to save our lives since Will Harris got hurt. We haven't been able to cover really anybody since Will Harris got hurt, but especially tight ends. I mean, he was doing a great job against my Georgia dog, Brock Bowers, you know, forcing incompletions, getting and balls batted down in the end zone, covering him. And against Green Bay, he had like a batted down pass that could have been for a touchdown. Like, this is a really talented, productive safety right here that we've been missing for a long time. But I've already given y'all the whole spiel about how literally I could go down it again if you want to. I can show you the stats. I can maybe dedicate an entire video breaking it down for y'all. This is the most hurt team I've ever seen in my life of watching football. Not just burgundy and gold, but any team. I even, like on my Xbox party chat, I was telling them how bad it was because I clearly can tell that other fan bases are not aware of how hurt we are. They just see we're losing and that we're not having a good season. And like, and my friends are asking me like, yo, what happened? You just went to the NFC Championship game last year. We have a lot of problems with this team, but injuries are the biggest one. And once I explained it to them, they were like, yeah, I've never heard of that. My Rams fan friend, my Falcons fan friends, like, I mean, I have a bunch of different teams included, all in the party chat, like, yeah, I've never heard of that, bro. That's different. Like, I don't think people understand, especially Commanders fans. I know we're frustrated, but I think I really need to understand that even though our linebackers are slow, Joe Wood Jr. is not a good defensive coordinator, but injuries killed this season more than anything else, bro. You lose your top 3 edge rushers, your starting safety, now your top 2 corners as well, bro. I don't know what to tell any of y'all. But either way, getting Will Harris back healthy would be huge. Even though it's not necessarily going to save the season, it's going to be huge as far as momentum going into the next season. I think he's a really good safety for you for the next couple of years at least, bro. I like Will Harris a lot. Again, he's our best safety until further notice, unless we go and sign another one, a draft one. But between Darnell Savage, Quan Martin, and Will Harris is our best safety. And so far, the way he's been playing this year, Quan Martin's probably third, with maybe Jeremy Reeves is like a fourth. But Jeremy Reeves has made more plays than Quan Martin. I trust Quan Martin a little bit more in coverage, I guess, but when it comes to at least making tackles, at least Jeremy Reeves can tackle. But either way, that's a whole nother rant for another day. We're here for injury updates. Speaking of, Drake Jackson is in Spain with the team practicing. They opened the 21-day practice window for him as well. But that was yesterday. Will Harris was Wednesday. They opened it for Drake Jackson yesterday, as in November 13th on Thursday, bro. And that's huge news. Remember, this is the guy that we signed and put him on IR the very next day because they just wanted to get him off the market. They wanted to make sure we had him stashed away so that when he finally is healthy and ready to play, he's on the Commanders team and not on some other team. So yes, Tom Shad updated us and let us know that Drake Jackson is returning to practice. It will be fascinating to see what role, if any, he has late in the season. A former second-round pick with 2+ years of NFL experience, but still just only 24, shares a birthday with Bill, too. I did not know that. But either way, this is a very young guy with still a lot of potential. We have recently, we're getting Drake Jackson. I mean, it's hard to say back because he never played for us, but we signed him, we put him on IR. Now he's finally looking like he's practicing. You just signed a DeMarcus kid. Both of these are really young, former second-round picks. There's talent there. There's potential there lying dormant. We'll see if this coaching staff can get it out of those guys. Also, I mean, maybe coming after the bye week because they just opened up the 21-day practice window just now. And, of course, you got to remember we play in Spain Sunday, November 16th. It's immediately a bye week after that, and then we come back to play the Denver Broncos on my birthday. Again, 30K by my birthday. Please, if y'all can help me get there. If you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to have 30K by my birthday, November 30th, when we're playing the Denver Broncos. Maybe Drake Jackson will be ready to play then. There's also, of course, news that maybe Jaden Daniels may play. That's another video. That's another discussion for another video. And then also, all the way back on November 11th, the Commanders made a bunch of different moves, bro. And that's including the DeMarcus Walker signing. But I wanted to make sure I isolated him from all of these moves. A lot happened. So we placed Trey Amos on the injured reserve list. That means at a minimum, he's going to miss 4 weeks. I'm assuming he's missing the rest of the season. But at the very earliest, he could probably come back as maybe against the Cowboys. And I'm pretty sure at that point in the season, they're probably just going to go ahead and let him rest and not make anything worse to where he could at least be available for OTAs, mandatory mini camps, training camp. We don't want to jeopardize any of that stuff to where we're worried about his injury situation going into the regular season. Go ahead and shut him down. Also, we signed Robbie Chosen and Jacoby Jones from the practice squad. So they're on the 53-man roster. They will play against the Dolphins. So you can have Jacoby Jones out there, which is interesting. And then they also signed River Craft and DeMarcus Walker again to the practice squad. And River Craft is interesting because that's his former team, the Dolphins. So I thought that was pretty interesting how they set that one up. But also Ben Standig brings up a good point. Going with Jacoby Jones is interesting, seeing as he's the one practice squad wide receiver yet to receive any game day elevation. The undrafted free agent often found the end zone in practices this summer, but out of everybody we have on the practice squad that's a wide receiver, he's the only one that hasn't been elevated at any point this season. But maybe they've just gotten to the point where we're like, it's time to experiment. You over there, random guy, let's give you a shot too. At this point, might as well. What do we have to lose? And I agree. I feel like the rest of this season should be tryouts, experimentation from the coaching staff, from the players. Everybody should just be trying stuff so that use this 2025 season wisely so we can go into 2026 with a more definitive idea of what does and does not work. Please, I don't want to go into 2026 with a bunch of question marks. Let's try stuff now. Players, plays, concepts, strategies, schematics, whatever you got to do, bro, please. Also, in yesterday's practice, November 13th, as in Thursday, Will Harris, Quan Martin, and Frankie Louvu were all in non-contact jerseys, which is interesting. But Terry McLaurin was out there working with a side trainer, which is really interesting as well. Dan Quinn said that Terry McLaurin, back on November 12th, will begin the on-field portions of rehab in Madrid. A positive step, but no set timetable on when he'll actually return for games. Dan Quinn said, quote, "Sometimes these injuries take longer than you want," unquote. I mean, of course, nobody wants it to last long. So, of course, it lasts longer than you want. I mean, one day is longer than you want. But either way, this is interesting. Terry McLaurin is not anywhere near close to returning back to playing in games. But for some reason in Spain, his timeline just set up, this is the first week that he's actually starting to do a little bit of on-field rehab rather than I guess chilling at home and stuff like that, or chilling specifically in the facilities. And then they saw him yesterday out there working on the side with athletic trainers. He didn't participate in practice, to the point that he's listed as out in practice, but at least he's working on the side field with the trainers. And speaking of River Craft, he's wearing number 48 as a wide receiver. It's kind of ugly. Remember, he was with Washington for 2 weeks in August, signed to the practice squad on Monday now, but because of the overseas flight, he had to take his physical in a hangar at Dulles Airport. Is that how you pronounce the airport over there? I'm not sure. Dulles. Please help me out in the comment section. Again, I'm from Atlanta, so I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all. But if elevated Sunday, he'd be the 6th wide receiver to have been promoted from the practice squad this season. Again, you can't make this stuff up. What other team has had to promote 6 wide receivers from the practice squad in one season, let alone the fact that we're just barely over halfway through the season. It is early mid-November, y'all. I don't think y'all understand how ridiculous this is. Now, looking at the injury report, of course, Traylon Burks, Jaden Daniels, and Ale Kaho are out. They already announced that way back on Monday. I already told y'all about that. And then Terry McLaurin not participating, obvious as well. But the one big standout right here is that Ben Sinnott was suddenly added to the injury report Thursday. He was good to go. Nothing happened on Wednesday. Suddenly on Thursday, some sort of an ankle injury popped up. It must have happened in practice, and then he was limited. At least he participated, but he wasn't full, so that's something to watch out for. But also, notably, as you can see, Chris Rodriguez, Dan Quinn already let you know, Chris Rodriguez will play on Sunday. And another update, Dan Quinn says that they expect more from Johnny Newton this week with Deron Payne suspended. So you'll have Javon Kinlaw, you'll have Johnny Newton, you'll have Eddie Goldman, and you'll probably have DeMarcus out there as well. Those are probably going to be your 4 defensive tackles, maybe even some Jalen Holmes out there, just to let you know. Now, also moving on to the next part of this video, Cliff Kingsbury had some very interesting quotes in his press conference that came from yesterday, November 13th. I'm not going to dive into all of the quotes, but one of the most notable ones was the one where he said that there's no way to run an offense. There's no one way to run an offense, but Washington has leaned heavy on the pistol shotgun sets early on for Jaden Daniels' comfort level. It's a whole 25-second clip of him breaking it down, but Disco brings up a great point. He said, I think this is a key piece of information from Cliff. Typically from press conferences, we don't get a lot of important insight. I think this one secretly, maybe he didn't mean for it to be, but this is pretty interesting, to say. He didn't say that Jaden Daniels can't play from under center. It's just that Jaden Daniels is more comfortable in pistol and shotgun, And with development, hopefully Jaden Daniels can learn to play more from under center, because you've seen the stats. A lot of us as fans, including me, have been screaming, can we please play under center more? It's a cheat code in the NFL. Play action from under center is one of the the highest statistical successful plays in the entire NFL, especially for quarterbacks, and especially specifically young quarterbacks. I forgot the exact stat, but quarterbacks under a certain age that do play action from under center have like the highest efficiency rates on that play compared to any other play possible in football, bro. And so we can help Jaden Daniels out a lot if we can play more under center. But apparently from Cliff Kingsbury, they play less under center because Jaden Daniels does not necessarily like playing under center. And I'm sorry, bro, you're gonna have to learn how to do it a little bit more. I mean, you can do some shotgun and some pistol, but under center is the way to go. So I would love for Jaden Daniels to work on that. That's something that he can work on in the offseason going into the 2026 season. And then lastly, a couple of other things that I want to update y'all with. Dan Quinn said that he's going to lean in on Brian Johnson on game days. See, this is something that we thought about. This is something we hypothesized. I think it was Resh Manuel that brought it up, that like, if Dan Quinn, the head coach, is taking over defensive play calling duties from defensive coordinator Joe Wood Jr., that means he's going to have his hands and his entire day, his entire week heavily preoccupied focusing on the defense. So who's going to help him with the head coach and stuff? Well, Brian Johnson, who is the assistant head coach by design. Remember, Dan Quinn hired him after he got fired from the Eagles as an offensive coordinator. He brought him here as an offensive passing game coordinator, so he took somewhat of a demotion there, but they made him an assistant head coach, so that's technically a promotion. And he's basically under Dan Quinn's wing this season, and last season as well. Is like he's like in like a head coach internship program, like a understudy. Like, this is how you do head coaching things, so that whenever the opportunity presents itself, or whenever you're able to get interviews for head coaching jobs, you'll know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, all of that type of stuff. So it makes sense that that's the guy that's gonna help take over some of the head coaching stuff while Dan Quinn is focusing on the defense. They also said Dave Gardy will help Quinn quite a bit on game days, and he'll continue to do so. I haven't necessarily seen that. I was really excited about the Dave Gardy hiring from the NFL office. That was supposed to be like one of our big innovative ones. I haven't necessarily seen it. We still use timeouts in a terrible way. We still don't go for it on fourth downs the way that I expected, but hopefully Dave Gardy can get it together. And then also, one other thing before we go, I thought this was really interesting. Apparently, the NFL has filed a grievance against the NFLPA to stop annual team reports. Teams do want to get rid of the public accountability. I hate this, bro. I mean, first of all, why did they wait until the Commanders finally got really filed with our report cards to want to stop doing this? And then also, man, hey, man up. Like, if your team is getting bad report cards, do something about it. If players feel like your food is horrible, get better food. If they feel like your travel accommodations are bad, get better travel accommodations. If they feel like your weight room is bad, spend money and improve your weight room. If the treatment of the family is bad, you can easily fix that. Like, these report cards are so important because it's calling them out on stuff that they're being lazy about. Like, we were really lazy about all of that stuff under Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder didn't care about any of that. That's why we used to score so terribly. Josh Harris and the crew came in, and now we have A+ in coaching. We have A in owner. We have B+ in food. We have A in travel, B- in weight room. That's something we can improve on, and B+ in treatment of family. Mind you, the first year of Josh Harris and those guys, we were way lower than that in a lot of those grades. And we've seen just going into their second year of owning this team, how we've catapulted ourselves to one of the worst teams, like literally 31st or 32nd, like a couple of years ago, overall out of the NFL and overall score, to now like top 5. Like, so, hey man, y'all just need to get it together, dog. Like, that's on y'all. That's how the players feel. It is not like it's graded on a curve. It's not like they have to give out A+ and Fs. If everybody's coaches were A+, everybody would get A+. If everybody's food, if everybody's travel, if everybody's weight room were A+, everybody would get A+. It's not like it's required for some teams to get Fs, some teams to get Cs, Bs, As, or anything like that. That's just simply because y'all suck. Do better, bro. So that's my last little rant before we got up out of here. I felt like y'all needed to hear the fact that the NFL, I guess some teams are complaining. I'm assuming it's probably the terrible teams. Probably teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars, Chicago Bears, these teams with these terrible scores, the Cleveland Browns. It's probably these teams complaining, or the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm assuming it's one of them. Just do better, bro. It's literally that simple. Players are not hating on y'all. There's no agenda towards y'all. Just they are being honest. Y'all got to do better. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if about everything discussed video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release informative and opinionated video just like this one. Really appreciate y'all for supporting all of the videos, man. And again, shouts out to my watch to the end gang, man. WTTEG in the building. For those of y'all that are still listening to me right now, still watching me right now, appreciate you, salute you personally, because you don't have to do that. You're just doing that out of rocking with me, between my content, me, whatever it is. Really appreciate it. Y'all do not understand how much it means for y'all to watch these videos to the end. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Again, I'm trying to get to 30K by my birthday, so I'd really appreciate that. 30K by the 30th. Whichever way you got to think about it. 30K by the birthday or 30K by the 30th. Either way, please help me. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. It would mean the world to me. Also, shouts out to my late night crew that will be watching this late night. Shouts out to Noti Gang. You're doubling up as late night crew if you have your notifications on and you're here immediately. Because again, right now it's 4:52 a.m. So really appreciate y'all. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything, especially the stadium, the guys we've signed, some of the guys that are coming back from injury. We're starting to get a little healthier in certain ways. Let me know how y'all feel about all of that. How do you feel about the NFL being mad about the report cards? Let me know everything. I'm trying my best to read and reply to as many comments as possible. Leave a like on the way out. I'm going to catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.